I know you've been getting a lot of updates, but we obviously just completed our first meeting in person, our annual meeting in 3 years. So it was good to have everyone back in the room. We covered a lot of ground over the last 3 days, and I think it was really productive for us.
The National Football League, or NFL, is one of the most popular and lucrative sports leagues in the world, with average player salaries in the millions of dollars. However, even with exceptionally high salaries, many NFL players still struggle to make ends meet. One of the biggest issues with NFL salaries is the lack of guaranteed contracts. Unlike other professional sports leagues such as the NBA and the MLB, the NFL has a culture of non-guaranteed contracts, meaning that a player's salary can be cut or even terminated at any time. This puts a tremendous amount of financial stress on players, who often have limited earning potential after their playing careers are over. You probably remember this story. Colin Kaepernick was an example of how the lack of guaranteed contracts in the NFL could play out. Players like Kaepernick are at the mercy of team owners. Despite being a talented and highly successful quarterback, Kaepernick was not signed by any team for the 2017 season, despite interest from several teams. Some experts believe that this was due in part to his controversial political activism, but others point to the fact that many NFL teams were wary of signing him due to the risk of injury or poor performance.
Sullivan, today we got a special one. A little short sample of Colin Kaepernick. Go back in the Patreon community this week and examine his last game against the Seahawks, do an in-depth analysis, every pass play, every run play he's involved with, his decision-making, accuracy, basically everything a GM, offense coordinator, head coach would do when they evaluate whether they should bring him into his program if they're just doing it off his play.
Regardless of which side you are on, the lack of guaranteed contracts is a problem that all players face. It makes them all directly tied to owners for their financial future, who could release them at any time without being responsible for the remainder of their contracts. All players face this threat, and many see it as a problem when planning financially for the long term. But the struggle in the NFL doesn't stop there. Remember Antonio Brown? Successful wide receiver? Even though he's made a lot of money during his career, there's something that's even more deadly to him than playing on the field. Like many other NFL players, he has been affected by health problems and has struggled with a number of physical and mental health issues. This has raised questions about the fairness of NFL's contract system and whether the league is doing enough to support its players in the long term. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, is a degenerative brain disease that has been found in a number of former NFL players. This disease is caused by repeated head trauma and can lead to symptoms such as memory loss, depression, and behavioural issues.
I'm just here to do my job, man. I can't control what people write, how people try to frame me or people try to bring me down. And life is about obstacles and persevering and doing what's right so you can get the right outcome. So I'm staying here before you guys, grateful, humbled, thankful, and excited to be a part of a big win with my teammates.
Damar Hamlin almost dying in the 2022-23 season is yet another example of how grueling the NFL is. Damar was unconscious for several minutes on the field while medics attended to him, but the biggest story here was that the NFL teams aren't required to give full medical benefits to players until after 4 years of playing. Damar had only been playing in his second year. Thankfully, in his case, they made an exception, but it might only be because of the pressure they would have gotten if they didn't. Now, you might be thinking that there's no way this could get any worse, but you better strap yourself in for this last one. Did you know that NFL referees are technically part-time employees? Even if you did, you may not have known exactly what that means. NFL referees are considered part-time employees, which means they're only paid for the time they spend on the field, and are not eligible for benefits such as health insurance or retirement plans. On average, NFL refs can run for over 5 miles per game. They have to maintain their physique on their own salaries, and the NFL does not pay for their training. And referees are expected to have other full-time jobs, which can make it difficult for them to maintain the level of fitness and focus required to perform at a high level on the field. The use of part-time referees in the NFL has been criticised by some as being unfair to those officials who are responsible for making critical decisions during games. Make no mistake, this has made headlines before. Referees are a crucial part of the sport, and their role requires a high level of skill, training, and dedication. As you'd imagine, when refs aren't paid enough, other bigger issues become more serious. The financial difficulties open refs up to the risk of corruption and bribery, but can we really blame them? If you were part-time and got offered $500,000 to miss a few calls, what would you do? In any case, the issue of bribery and corruption in sports is a serious one, and it's particularly concerning in the NFL, where referees play a critical role in the outcome of games. The potential for corruption undermines the integrity of the sport, and it is essential that measures are taken to prevent it from happening. The financial problems in the NFL probably won't be solved anytime soon, but maybe the more people know, the sooner the public can put pressure on the owners to protect the game millions of Americans love. Check out this video of one of the most historic and wealthiest places in America that no longer exists.